Welcome back to the Serenity series, a show where we explore our minds to enhance our life. Each week, we dive in deep into a new topic with none other than Payal Mehta. Let's find out what she has to share with us this week. Payal, welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, Eva. I'm good. Thank you. This week, I'm going to talk a little bit about acceptance. It's a very difficult thing for most of us to do when we have to accept something that is out of our control, that has just happened in our external environment. It could be the death of, the sudden loss of somebody, knowing that you've probably got something like a serious disease, knowing that maybe you don't have a job any longer, knowing that your relationship hasn't worked out and the person has wanted to leave you and not given you much of a choice in the matter. So acceptance really is when we don't have much of a choice in the matter. What is it that we do in that moment? So I would really like to talk about that, because there are various situations in our life where we are unable to accept, or we find it difficult to accept what just happened. And you feel like a ton of bricks has just come your way and you don't know what to do with that, and you don't know what to do with that emotion. You don't know what.
Yeah.
So the first reaction that we do have at that moment is really denial, because denial is our mind's way of really allowing us to just be, to feel that numbness, to feel that inability to go on, to protect us from everything that we're feeling at that moment. And acceptance is really acknowledgement. So reaching from denial to acknowledgement is a journey, and I would really like to talk about that journey today. So Eva, I would really like to start by maybe asking you, what has there ever been a point in your life where you have felt that, it's been difficult to accept something? And if you'd like to just share a little bit about that and what the kind of feelings that you went through when you did that.
The way that you've put it, that the first thing that we tend to do, the tendency is to deny. And then after that, comes the blame. It's just easier to blame it on the situation, blame it on yourself, or blame it on others. I think that's just how the programming is. I mean, we didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. That has been, the experience when it comes to accepting and then moving on. So then you move on, or you try, or you pretend that you've moved on, but you haven't really moved on because you haven't accepted. So thank you for touching on this topic. I'm sure many of us will benefit from this. So yes, that answer your question?
So that's actually a very good point, Eva, because acceptance is not something that can be forced. So acceptance is a process. Acceptance is about time. Acceptance is about respecting and giving space to the kind of emotion that you're feeling at that point, the reality of the situation outside of you. Because we always like to be in control. We always like certainty. We always like to know that we have control over the people around us, the situation around us, control. But the only thing that we have control over really is our emotions and our feelings. So when I'm having that, like, I would just take up blame, because that's what you mentioned in your example. So we always have a tendency to blame either something outside of us or within us. So again, it's going into victimization, or it's putting something totally out of your responsibility. Acceptance is basically saying that at this point, I need to accept what it is. I don't have to like what it is. I don't have to be okay with what it is, but it is what it is. And just having that thought process in your mind, it's not something that it will help you to go through that moment at that specific period in your life where you feel that, I just don't know what happened. So acceptance is really about, accepting it for what it is and finding the ways to take ourselves through that moment in that specific time in our life. How do I move through this? How do I find the next step from there? So not to create this big goal of, okay, I need to totally accept the situation and move on, because that's also not realizing and resolving the emotions that you're feeling, or not accepting not accepting what I'm going through right now. So that in itself is also very important. It's not about being brave, and if I'm brave and I show the world this brave front, I'm ready to move on, and this is it, and I'm a strong person. That isn't acceptance. Acceptance is a very, very significant and important part of the healing process. When you accept is actually when you start your healing process. So it's a very important part. So we do tend to go into extremes, like strong, powerful people would not like to feel weak, would not like to
Mm,
be out of control of situations, and would
mm,
continuously keep themselves extra busy or doing extra amount of things in order
mm.
to compensate for the lack of not being able to be in control of that one situation in their life, and not wanting to face the emotions that are coming up of
So
the lack of.
basically, run away.
You're running away through different things. It's running away, but you're running away in the sense of, you think that your strength is your biggest strength, but at this point your strength would not be your biggest strength. You're not using it to the best of its ability, because you're choosing to absolutely shun whatever it is that the emotion is. That difficulty to accept in itself is the starting process of acceptance. That's the first
Right.
step to acceptance, you know. It's like saying the first step to overcoming the consequences of any misfortune is acceptance. It's the first step. It's when I'm willing to accept at this point. So how do I bring myself to that stage of acceptance? How do I do it? It's so acceptance is not something that like I said, it's not something that can be forced. It is something that comes about from our mind, because it is about denial. Acceptance is about acknowledgement. I would like to mention what acceptance is always beginning to accept what the situation is, and then I'm able to find out small steps on how I can move forward from this current situation, this current emotion, this current reality. So it's not to say that if I'm saying I'm accepting, it's not about me being, it's me being, having the ability to just allow
Mm.
the people, the circumstances, the situation to just be as they are. It's not about it's just observing at this point, because I may be numb with the feelings of what I'm going through, with what has just happened. So it is not about resisting the moment, because you see, the universe has brought this thing into our life for some reason, whatever it may
Right.
be. So if I'm going to resist what is going on right now, I am resisting
Mm.
the entire universe right now in this moment. And where is that going to get me? It's not going to get me very far, right? It's going to,
It's just going to repeat it again until you've learned the lesson, isn't it?
yes, that could be one aspect. But the other aspect also is about, when it is out of my control, what is it that I can do in this moment? What do I have control over in this moment is my reaction to the out of control situation. That's the only thing I have control over. I don't have control over anything else. I only have control over myself and my feelings in this situation. I don't have control over anything else, whatever it may be outside of me, because change is the only constant. So I have to
Correct.
remind myself that in this situation, right here, right now, I permit, I permit rather than resist. So I permit whatever is happening right now to happen, and go with the flow of what is happening, because it is something that I do not have control over. So, but that also, there is also a difference between this, because acceptance is not about passivity. You can say that, oh, but if I'm accepting it, then I'm just sitting back and not doing anything about it. I'm not able to change it. I'm not,
Yeah.
making any effort towards it. But it is not that. Acceptance is the choice that I am making right now to enable myself to deal with whatever it is that is coming up for me in forms of whatever it is. So it can be so many various emotions in our life, where we just do not have control over the external circumstance, the situation, the person, the words, the what somebody has said to me, the way they've said it to me. It's all out of my control. I can't control somebody else. So how is
Mm.
it in that moment that I can accept that this is what is happening without it being passive, without me
Mm.
surrendering? Because that's another
Mm.
misnotion that we have, that acceptance means surrendering.
And yeah.
Yeah. So it's, how do I accept the reality of where I am right now, and I don't need to give in to that with surrender of failure or surrender of
Right.
pain or surrender. So it is just about this moment right here, right now. How do I get through this moment? I don't have to think about, oh my God, what is my life going to be? How am I going to deal with it? Or what's going to happen to me? That's all the steps that will come. And you will find the new tools, the new answers, the new responsibilities, the new role in your life, the new void also to some extent in your life. It will come to you, but it has to be first with the acceptance of where I am in this moment, right here, right now, to take me through this very second before I am able to So creating small goals for myself before going on to the big goal of which may seem absolutely overwhelming for you right now. So,
Yes. Yeah.
right, because in that moment you there are so many emotions going through us. It's like a
Mm,
volcano of things erupting. There is
mm,
numbness, there is fear, there is what just happened, there is the inability to even look at the situation for what it is. There are so many emotions that we go through at that point. So the first thing is to just be that I permit and I give space to the emotion that I'm feeling right now. I'm allowing myself to feel that. I don't need to hide from it. I don't need to shun from it. I don't need to fear from it. It is what it is, and I'm able to just see it for what it is right now. And so it is a choice, and it's an approach really where there are several stages that you
mm.
go through for it to become normal for you. And the initial challenge that we face is really about how is this going to change my life? Where am I going to stand? Like, what, if you feel that the earth has just been removed from your feet, where is it that I stand right now? How is it that I'm going to stand right now? When I come to the state of acceptance of what this is right now, I will be able to use my own intelligence, my own acceptance of the situation, my own choice to be able to stand up and say, okay, this is what I need to do in this moment, right here, right now. So it's also a change in yourself. When this change is there in yourself, it's a change in your perceptions. It's a change in how your interpretation of what is going on is going to be, to allow you to take that first step forward, to allow you to stand and to look at what it is for what it is. So really, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
It's something like that. And there was another very nice quote that I did want to share, was really what William James has said: acceptance of what has happened is the first step to overcoming the consequences of any misfortune. When we can no longer change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And I think that that is a very important part, because I'm not comfortable changing myself. I'm comfortable in the comfort of how things have always been and how I've always known. And in
Mm,
that, I don't want to accept what is just going on. I don't want to accept. So acceptance is also not helplessness. So it's not passivity, it's not helplessness, and it's not resignation. There's a vast difference between acceptance and all these words. So when you're
mm,
saying I'm accepting things for what they are, it doesn't mean that I have to like it, or it doesn't mean that I don't want things differently. It just means that, and it also doesn't mean that I'm giving up in this moment. It doesn't mean any of those things. In fact, acceptance is the first step to resolving and renewing and moving forward and going forward in everything that you need to do with your new normal. That is acceptance. So it does take time. There are stages involved in it. You need the time, you need the space to just go through whatever it is, process the feelings, process the emotion, process the reality of what the situation is. So it's not giving into the pain, but acceptance is not giving into the pain, because that's what a lot of people do. They give into the
mm,
pain, and then once you've given into the pain, you're down into this whole cycle of uh, I'm the victim, this has happened to me, and you're resigning yourself to that pain, and you resign yourself and you give into that pain, and it goes into this whole downward circular motion of like a cyclone, which is just taking you away with your emotions, and you don't know what is hit you, and you don't know how to get out of it. So that is not acceptance. Acceptance, in fact, will help you to come out of that resignation. Acceptance, in fact, will give you the hope that I can take the next step, small step, whatever that small step is. Acceptance gives you the courage. Acceptance gives you the courage to face the situation, to face your feelings. Acceptance gives you the charge that we need at that point to say, okay, this is my reality. Now, what next? Acceptance allows you to find out what next. It gives you the solutions to what next, allows you to think, because we are all intelligent beings, and human beings have the most amazing sense of adaptability. We are able to come up with the solutions that we need for our own life. And acceptance allows me to accept that I have the ability to do that, that I can do that, that I have done this. I have accepted things in the past, and I can continue to accept them, but I can move forward through them. So acceptance becomes my strength. Acceptance is not seen or viewed as a weakness. Acceptance is about me being where I want to be in my life eventually, by accepting where I am right now and knowing that I can take that step forward.